centres, the makeshift triage centre hospital, where they're trying to keep people without a purpose out. But the other end of the park is just filled to capacity with people who are just wanting to have company, who are looking for people. You've got a nearby school was evacuated, so you've got some of the children who've come to this park here and their parents are coming to meet them and pick them up. You've got people who've come out from buildings. They're just using this place here really as a place to try and touch base with loved ones. And as you say, a lot of people walking around completely aimlessly. They don't know where to start. Their phones don't work. They don't know who to call. They can't walk from here to their homes, which may be several kilometres away. And it really, one of the things that has struck me today, Rawdon, is that people's faces, they just speak so much, because there is fear, there is panic, there is just a sense of shock all over them. They're just walking around as though, who am I and where have I come from? Because this city is not the city it was this morning. This city is a completely different site.
Joy, yet at the same time we were told that there was going to be another big aftershock, but do you think it's fair to say that no one really expected that aftershock to come with such devastation as this?
Absolutely not. I mean, obviously I've taken invested interest in the situation, because being a resident here in Christchurch, I've felt the aftershocks just like everybody else. And, you know, we were watching the news, reading the paper, and the experts were saying, you know, you might expect a magnitude 5 earthquake every 6 weeks or so, and you start to get that, I guess, false sense of security again after that leaves. But, I mean, the difference between a 5 and a 6.3, which we had today, is absolutely immense. And the absolute shock of what you have felt, you just cannot describe sitting in your lounge thinking that everything is completely okay, and then the walls completely shaking, the lights falling out of the roof. It is the strangest feeling when what you have always thought is so stable, the ground. You don't think that the ground moves, but the ground just completely shaking, and nobody was prepared for something of this magnitude. And I must stress that even though this earthquake is in number form less than what we had on September 4, it really doesn't look like it in terms of damage. As I've said, the damage at my home is a lot worse. The damage here in the central city is streets worse. The damage to people, tragically, is so much worse. It struck at a time when obviously people were far more involved in their daily lives. People weren't at home in bed like they were in that September 4 quake. People were at work and they were out and about. And like, even our TVNZ building's a classic case. We aren't allowed in there at the moment because structurally you do not want to enter there, because there is so much devastation in it. But it survived that September 4 quake, and so the devastation really shows a very different picture from the numbers.
What sort of emergency services numbers are you seeing? I mean, there's obviously a huge amount of activity, from people keeping you out of certain areas to attending to emergencies. I mean, how coordinated does it seem to be at this stage, Joy?
It really is a rescue situation. What I've seen is you've got people in their work clothes, just donning, obviously policemen who were at home who've come straight in and just donned a vest over their stubbies and their t-shirts, because they have police uniforms they can't access. You've got anybody that can come in is coming in. You've got doctors, etc., coming in to volunteer at these triage centres. You've got any paramedic that is in Christchurch seems to be coming in. Obviously people are trying to check on their loved ones as well, but you've got people volunteering at the triage centre today. If you just follow me back, we'll be able to show you back exactly what I'm meaning in terms of the operation which is going on behind us. You've got people not just in their uniforms, but people who've come in and they've obviously got some medical skills, etc., and they are able to share those. But some people are volunteering here today who still haven't been able to get hold of their loved ones. They assume their loved ones are safe. They know their house is probably damaged, but they see helping the greater good as something that they can do in this aftermath of this earthquake. And there really is a lot of people, and as I've said before, you've got helicopters landing, and out pops search and rescue crews, out pops more paramedics who have been flown in from other areas, because the arterial routes in here are so hard to get in terms of the roading way.
Yes, Joy, it's interesting how you talk about, it seems to me that this is about not so much about people being that bothered about their homes at this stage and the damage to their houses or their offices or whatever, because right now this is a very, very, very different situation. This has a very different face. We saw some pictures just now of the cathedral in the centre of the city. obviously one of the main victims, but right now it's about people who are missing. We'll see if we can just pull back some pictures of the cathedral. Well, these pictures are just coming in live as we speak. Doesn't take much to work out that there is a huge amount of damage in the centre of Christchurch. Pretty much every alleyway, every street, every square, every building block seems to have some sort of damage on it from what we've seen so far. And we'll obviously keep you up to date on that as we find out more details. Now, Jennifer Brophy is another Christchurch local who was obviously in the centre of Christchurch and is with us now on the phone. Jennifer, what can you tell us about your experience at lunchtime?
Oh, sorry, just another aftershock hitting right then, actually.
Has that made it even more frightening, or are you sort of used to that and still focusing on what happened at 10 to 1?
Yeah, no, it was very different this time around. Last time it was obviously hit during the middle of the night, and it just sort of did a bit of rolling. It went on for about 30 seconds. You had a few sort of glass damages in your house, but that was about it. This time, during the middle of the day, you've got no idea where your friends and family are, all the time alone at the time, and just stuff smashing everywhere, watching the walls roll, TV on the ground. It was, yeah, it's completely different this time. Just can't believe it's not bigger than the last one, really.
And is it this very much about, not so much about the damage, but about where people are?
Yeah, I mean, when it happens at 4:30 in the morning, most of your loved ones are in the house, so you know that they're at their own homes. But this time of day, you don't know if you have friends in town. You don't know. We obviously have no power with most of the city out here, so you can't watch the news. You can't see what's anywhere, and with the cell phones down and no landlines, it's kind of frightening, trying to wonder what's happening to everyone.
What have you heard about your own situation? Have you are there people who you haven't been able to contact who you want to?
I've been lucky with my family. I've contacted all of them. I've got a very small family, so that's lucky. But my work friends, I work out at the airport, can't get a touch with anyone there, and my other friends around the city haven't been able to get a hold of at this stage.
We heard that the airport had been evacuated. Have you heard any updates on that? I suppose you haven't, because you haven't been able to speak to anyone there.
Just what we've heard from the radio, that they've closed all flights landing and taking off, and they're looking at, checking out whether the runway's viable for emergency crews to land. Otherwise, I've probably heard more listening in the background to your report now than I've been able to hear all day, to be honest.
And Jennifer, what's the situation for you? It's stay put, just to monitor what's happening, or is there a case of needing to go and assess?
I mean, you would be cutting out there.
Yeah, just saying you're very much warned to sort of keep out of the centre, but there must be some people who are thinking, well, we've got to go and see what's going on, or go and see if we can find people who may not be around, or assessment, or do you just simply sit there now and just wait for the news to come in?
It pretty much is that. I was lucky. I've been going to my parents' house, and we live on the outskirts, so we've been able to get around semi-okay, but we had major traffic jams we managed to avoid, but no one can get in or around anywhere from what we've heard.
All right. Jennifer, thank you very much for that, Jennifer. Now we're going to go to Nigel Miller, the Chief Medical Officer of Canterbury District Health Board, to try and find out what the latest is as far as, obviously, facilities goes and what's on offer. Nigel, first of all, let's just start with the advice for people at home with regards to water.
Well, at present in Christchurch, where the water supplies are under review, and we advise people to boil water from the taps before drinking it.
And how far spread should that advice go?
I think at the present time we'll just say Christchurch City.
Okay. Let's talk about the facilities. We had some dispute earlier, the conflicting reports about the Christchurch Hospital, whether it was being evacuated, partially evacuated, whether it was open. What is the situation there?
Christchurch Hospital is functioning. We've internally relocated some patients due to problems with facilities like water and leaks and so on. But it's very important that Christchurch Hospital is reserved for people with major injuries.
In such a way, those only brought in by emergency services?
Well, usually. I mean, obviously some people may find their own way of major injuries, but we expect those people to come in by the ambulance service. And people with other injuries, we suggest that the best plan is for them to go to their nearest available health centre or general practice.
Or and these triage centres have been set up very quickly as well. Tell us a bit more about those.
I don't have the full information on those at the present, but as that becomes available, of course, we'll pass it out to you.
Nigel, what sort of resources are you looking at here to try and at least keep the health system up and running while this happens?
I think it's too early for us to give a clear picture at the present time. The most important thing is we keep the essential service for those with major injury.
Have you had any idea of what sort of injuries the hospital's seeing coming in?